Stand by, we're checking. 7037, if you receive any trawler calls in the vicinity of 4th Ave and Olympic City, please notify. Rampart 80, possible between 11 suspects, Alexandria and Beverly. Beverly and Alexandria, see the juvenile detained when advised, being followed by a blue Mitsubishi and on license plate.
2 cops, copy, log on.
No cookie machines today? Everything's off? Kids are in the bedroom?
Yeah.
That's it.
Mouths taped shut.
Except for mine.
Exactly. We need yours, though.
Dad's not going to barge in.
No, I told him nobody over between 6 and 7:30.
Is that the first time your dad's ever barged in on you like that?
No, he always been jumping around about.
Even in high school, girls over?
Moving on. Welcome back, everybody. 2 Cops Talk. Once again, it's me, Roxas, Fine Fuzz, and we actually have a special guest today we're excited about. Say hi, Cammy.
Hi, Cammy.
Oh my goodness, I hate you.
She got you.
I'm super excited to be here.
Are you? That's
yeah,
good.
I've been waiting for this.
Ever since it was brought up, huh?
Yep.
All right, last week we talked about running from the cops. We answered some questions. Episode 1 is at 135 downloads. And then episode 2, which was released just a few hours ago from where we're at now, is at 46 so far. So that's cool. That's over 150 for the entire podcast. That's awesome.
The hype is real.
The hype is real. It's really getting real on Instagram. Everybody's loving it. Everybody's sharing it, loving it, giving feedback. So we appreciate that.
We all do, for sure.
Today, the topic of conversation is women in law enforcement. That's why we have Cammy here. We've all worked with Cammy. We all worked on the same squad. We've all basically been cops around the same amount of time. She has a little bit more experience that we're going to get into as far as like in past careers and such. Cammy, go ahead and tell us just a little bit of general information about yourself, like where you grew up, how many places you've lived, your dream job, that kind of stuff.
I grew up in Boise, Idaho for the majority of my life. I was actually born in Southern California. My dad was a cop in San Diego, and then they decided being my parents, they decided they didn't want to live in that area anymore, so they moved to Idaho when I was about 2 or 3, so most of my life has been in Idaho. In some rural areas of Idaho, and then more urban, although Idaho is not urban in comparison to this, but as far as Idaho goes, some both rural and urban areas. I came here to Vegas for the job, and it's the only place I've ever lived besides Idaho, or that I remember that I've ever lived besides Idaho. So I came here 1 week before I started the academy by myself with an apartment. I didn't know anybody here. I just kind of started all over for this because being a cop was the job I always wanted to do since I was a kid. I think probably because that's what my dad did. He was a hero in my eyes. I wanted to do that. And I grew up to believe that people who are able to do good and be those sheepdogs, as they're called, have a responsibility to do so if they're able. So I thought I'd give it a try myself.
So it was in your blood?
It was, yeah. Like my dad, his older brother, several of my older cousins are all or were retired, are officers.
So what generation cop does that make you?
Only second, because it was just my dad and his brother, and then some of the other cousins in the family. I mean, there's a lot of us, but it's only second generation.
So did your dad ever try to talk you out of it?
No, he did not. I have 2 sisters, one younger, one older, and he told me, we had a conversation not too long ago about the differences in personality between the 3 of us, and he said, my sisters, neither of them could ever do this just because of their personality, but he always kind of knew that it was something that I could do if I wanted to. He never pressured me one way or the other. I think he kind of inadvertently groomed me to do it because you know how they always say to us once when you're in the academy, you always have to have a plan for your family. If anything ever happens, what's your family going to do? And with my dad, if anything ever happened, it was always I was in charge because he's like, your mom's your mom, she would panic, and your sister's like, what are they going to do? So it was if anything happened, I had to take charge while he handled business. So I don't think that he meant for that to happen. I think it just did naturally. So
Interesting. I always hear like a lot of especially nowadays, the cop dads are like, "No, you'll never be a cop. Go be a firefighter." Most of the time, they're
Yeah.
just joking.
you know what? While I was going through our police academy, my cousin, who her dad is a fire chief in California Department of Fire, she was going to the firefighter academy. So we were like sharing our struggles.
We're gonna get into that a little bit more. I really want to talk about. We kind of always make fun of you for all of your college and education and your report writing because you're over here and you write novels and such. What is your education and how does that help you in the job?
I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Boise State University. That to be honest, I don't think the actual psychology part is helpful, but I mean, writing is something that I was always good at. I'm not like great at math. I'm more good on the language side of things. I actually had advanced English in high school, which put me ahead in college, so I didn't have to take a lot of English in college. Um, but that was actually I also considered majoring in English because I did like to write, but then I got tired of writing what everybody else wanted me to write, so I just gave up on that. But it is helpful to be able to write. I know I think I've gotten a lot of attention, and I don't say like a lot of attention, but from, I think the investigative units like PD and stuff have noticed me just because my reports are solid and they can do work with them as opposed to like if people don't write down details, if they're vague, if they don't know how to explain what actually happened, it can be because you have to write a report as though you're not going to remember what happened, because that's happened to me. Like, you go to court and you're like, what the fuck even was this? And the only thing you have to go by is what you wrote down. And people kind of don't. It's not that they don't know that, I don't think. It's just they maybe don't understand how to write. People just don't understand how to write. I don't think there's not enough emphasis put on it in schools. I don't think, in my opinion. But being able to write has helped me a lot.
Yeah, this is true because I barely remember what happened yesterday.
Same.
Like I got a subpoena for to go to court, and I was like, what the hell? I didn't even arrest this guy. Like, I looked back at the report, and I was like, I didn't even arrest this guy. How can there be a subpoena? How can he be going to court? I didn't arrest him. I didn't even say there was a PC for the arrest in the report because it was kind of questionable. But I documented everything, and I asked one of the sergeants who used to be a patrol detective, and I was like, Sarge, how can this be? Like, how can I go to court for this when there's no other supplemental report? There's nothing to indicate to me that this dude had been arrested, because I certainly didn't arrest him. I didn't say there's PC. So he said sometimes if you write a detailed enough report, a detective will say, based on that, there is PC, even if you didn't know if there was, if you were unsure. They will say, yeah, there's PC, and they'll write a warrant, and somebody else will arrest him based solely on, like, your fucking report, so. Which is a good thing, I guess.
It is. Yep.
And just to clarify, PC is probable cause.
Right,
For
you
those
need
of
that
you
to
that
arrest
don't.
someone.
Yeah, you kind of have to have that to arrest somebody for those that don't know.
Is that what I've been doing wrong this whole time?
Yeah, stuff
Holy
like that.
crap.
Tell us about so Me and McDaniel used to ride together like all the time. Like we were partners. Like we were the two that rode together.
You rode
Mainly so we
doubles?
could. Oh yeah, when it was allowed,
Oh.
all the time. Now it's not allowed. Now people have a heart
Oh.
attack.
Now
but-
people hate us, but we're not allowed to ride doubles.
Yeah, exactly. We
Okay,
won't go
that's
into
my
that.
political spiel for the day.
We're not going into that stuff. But I don't know if it was more so because we like to just sit there and like bicker back and forth about how we hated everybody, or what it was. But we just enjoyed riding together.
We had a. It wasn't bickering. It was bantering. We agreed with each other. We just
Yes, we just hyped each other up, but in
commiserated.
the wrong way. So I know a little bit more about like your past careers, but tell us about working. It was the DEA, right?
Yes.
But you were on the civilian side.
Yes. DEA.
So tell us about that and explain that to us.
All right. DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, not to be confused with DA, as in District Attorney, because you would be surprised, even law enforcement officers do not know that DEA is Drug Enforcement Administration. It's like the cool people, the ones that bust in and do. They're like the cool version of the FBI. They handle all drug investigations. Not that I'm biased or anything, but they're way cooler than the FBI. But I was a civilian. I was contracted by a company to work inside a DEA office as a civilian employee. I reported directly to the resident officer in charge, who also was a friend of my dad's, but we won't go into that. But yeah, so I worked for the DA, civilian. I did a lot of paperwork. That's why I'm good at paperwork. That's why I can look at a paper document and be like, oh, this is easy. All you have to do is fill in the boxes. While a lot of people who are officers are like, how do I do this? I'm like, oh, well, you put your name there where it says name. But
You don't say.
That's just me. So, yeah. I was an investigative assistant. I did a lot of intelligence work as well. Like, it was really fun. Like, I could be, like, looking for these drug dealers on Facebook. I had a fake Facebook account. Not that we do that. If there's any bad guys listening, that's not a thing. But, basic stuff like I would run up their criminal histories. What do they call it? Doing a workup? That's what we call it. Criminal histories, just seeing what you can find out about these people with, like, CGIS, and so I did that. I had a lot of fun. Sometimes I just fucking hung out because there was not a lot to do. I made a lot of good friends. The guys around there, it was like a lot of father figures to me. A lot of them were friends with my dad, because my dad was a narcotics detective with a canine. So he did a lot of work for them because they don't have their own canines. So when they needed a canine, he was typically the one they called because he was reliable, and he got a lot of drugs and a lot of money for them. So it's kind of hard going in there with that kind of legacy above my head, because you feel like there's a lot resting on you. Because I still, to this day, I feel like I'm not ever gonna be half the officer that my dad was. And he's like, hey, can I go on a ride along with you? And I'm like, no, I don't want you to see how stupid I am. Like, so at DEA, I actually did a lot of, back to my writing background, I did a lot of proofreading for those guys, because they weren't good writers, even federal agents with degrees. Not that they weren't good, but they just weren't as good as me. So I proofread like search warrants, reports, and that kind of stuff. So I did get really familiar with. That helped me. I mean, I had that advantage on knowing how to write a police report, what goes in a police report, and that kind of stuff.
Do you think this is justification for me being terrible at writing or whatever?
Huh.
But do you think
You're not terrible. You're like just below me. I mean, there's way more.
Well, it's like you and then like Flying Fuzz, and then probably Roxas, and then me, and then other people with a Clark County education.
Roxas is pretty good. I use Roxas as my thesaurus and dictionary.
Yeah,
It's a wealth of knowledge.
I'm that intelligent person that doesn't look intelligent.
Do you have a degree, Roxas? Did you
No,
go to
I have a
college?
0 degree.
Oh, me too.
And I was so
think
lazy in high school, I barely made it through.
same.
Doesn't mean I wasn't smart. I just didn't care. That was one of those. That was the
Agreed.
difference.
That's exactly how I am. My question though is do you think that as officers we tend to, instead of dumb it down, we tend to speak in lingo a lot, I feel like, and therefore for us reading the report, it's like, oh yeah, like okay, I get that. But if you were to give the report to somebody that doesn't work downtown or doesn't work in law enforcement, they'd be like, what the heck are you even talking about?
I even
Does that
try
make
not
sense?
to put CAD notes in a way that someone couldn't read them. Like I try to dumb it down on everything I do because you never know who's going to read it.
But for me personally, I don't, because honestly, I don't care if a civilian reads my report and doesn't understand it, because anybody who needs to understand it is going to. Right?
Exactly.
So that's
but
not a
I
good
do.
excuse for me then.
So one thing that is important is, at least for me, is that you make sure you have all your elements of the crime covered. Like I write it verbatim, the to wit, because like for domestic battery, for example, it's did willfully and unlawfully use force or violence upon the person of another with whom they have a domestic relationship, right? So I put did willfully and unlawfully use force or violence upon this person, say their name, who is his wife, establishing domestic relationship by punching her in the face 3 times. So, I mean, you have to spell it out. That's the most important part, I think, is when you do your elements of the crime, so that you establish and also your probable cause. Establish that. Like, I can tell that he punched her in the face 3 times because she has a black eye. And there's knuckle marks on her freaking eyebrow or something like that. So that part does have to be really clear cut and concise, but not necessarily dumb, right? But it has to be, yeah, like I said, crystal clear, so that there is no doubt. You can't use like flowery words. I mean, you can, but it's not going to help you. Not going to do any good. Like the other day, my sergeant was saying, "Get out of thesaurus if you need to make it sound better," and I'm like, I don't really agree with that, because sometimes the word is just the word, and especially if you're not smart, if you just break out a thesaurus and you say, "Oh, this is a synonym," it doesn't always mean the same thing. And if it's a word you've never freaking like heard before and you're throwing it in there to sound smart, chances are it's gonna make you sound stupid.
I don't disagree.
Furthering the education really quick, you're going to college again, aren't you, to get your master's?
I did a couple semesters working on my master's. I don't know if I'm gonna continue that. This is it's time consuming, and I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it, but I could always just pick it back up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you having to go home and like read and write, and then coming to work half asleep because.
It was nice that it was an online class, and it was just basically just read these articles and then write a response. But when it's freaking 60 pages of articles, it takes a while. And even though I can read fast, there's only so much you can read, right?
Yeah, especially when you just got off of a 12-hour shift and you're falling asleep.
Yeah. So yeah, I was studying global security because I have had, I don't know if I have these plans anymore, but I was thinking about maybe going back to DEA as a special agent, because I would like to work overseas.
That'd be fun.
Not that international law is really a thing, but protecting U.S. borders from beyond, I guess, is what I would say.
So you want to be a spy?
No. That's not it. Nope. I just want to burn drug plantations in Colombia.
Oh, yeah.
Burn drug plantations.
What's your title? I'm an arson specialist.
All right, let's take it back to kind of the law enforcement side of it. Tell us about the academy as a female, and then we're going to move on to like field training and patrol. But did people like not respect you, or issues with your academy classmates, or even tax staff where being a female came into play?
Okay, so let me preface this with a caveat. My experience is sort of unique because I'm a female, but it's mostly unique because I am who I am. So not all women have the same experience. So I know you're not saying that, but I do want to get that out of the way. So it will be different for all females, and I think your degree of femininity that you display outwardly has a lot to do with it as well. Not that it should, but it does. Oh man, the academy. Some parts of the academy were rough for me. I'll just say that much because you guys know me in real life. You've like heard me talk on the radio. My voice is really quiet, and they do not like that in the academy because you're supposed to be able to yell and scream and command presence and all that bullshit. So it was like I had a target on my back the fucking first day. So when you're in the academy, the first week they pick out the people that they think are gonna fail out. They pick out the weak ones and they give them leadership roles just to weed them out, basically. So we had this guy, this guy who was terrible, who showed up with his freaking uniform on over his PT uniform. Anyway,
Nice.
they made him our what do they call it? Class sergeant? God, I can't even remember. It's been so long. Class sergeant, and then they made me one of the squad sergeants. I think because they wanted to test me, which fair enough. I wasn't the strongest at PT physical training, and I come off as kind of a little bit passive. I think I'm quiet, you know. However, when we got to that first inspection, that's where you line up and they scream at you. Have you guys gone over what first inspection is? Do people need to know? Do I need to
No.
go over that?
We have plans to do it in a later episode, but you can briefly explain.
They scream at you and they're like, while they're screaming at you, give me the definition of this or verbatim this, and this. And so it's just trying to get you super stressed out and amped and then get you to recite definitions. And as luck would have it, I am really good at reciting definitions word for word, even under stress. So I performed really well in our first inspection, which I think was shocking. And I didn't have. And when you fail, they make you do a lot of homework, which keeps you up all night and therefore makes it harder. But I didn't. It came down to the point where my tax staff was like just looking at me. I could just tell he was trying to find something to make me have DR a report about. And he finally goes, "You have threads hanging from your uniform. 150 words about that." I'm like, all right, if that's the best you can do,
If
I'll
that's what
take
you
it.
got, you know what? That's it.
But yeah, so and it actually got to the point where by the end of the first week, then they go to switch you out. The failed class sergeant, he was out after like 2 days. He was so bad. I think the other two made it past the first week, but not all the way. But with me, you know, they're screaming, "You're fired! Get out of here!" But to me, they were just like, "Go back to your seat, McDaniel." So I felt like it was a little bit of a pat on the back. I wasn't that terrible. I wasn't as terrible as they expected me to be because I was smart, but you know, I still had trouble on the runs. I mean, I could do all the push-ups, sit-ups, all that stuff, but dude, I can't run long distance, so that was an issue. I spent the first 3 weeks like falling out, which wasn't fun, but eventually I got there and I kind of earned my place. But there were females in my class. I think we started out with 6 of us, and 3 graduated. But the there were females who were in phenomenal shape and who were keeping up with the guys. So it was probably different for them. They kind of went under the radar. Uh, so it more was about, I think, being physically weak than it was about being female. And then, so I had to make up for it on the academic side of things. Um, being out in the field as a female, I mean, okay, it's kind of this way in the academy. It's a male dominated job, so if you're a female, you draw a lot of attention. You guys know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
I've told you about the texts that I've received unsolicited from certain people, and I'm just like, wow. And
Interesting.
if you know my personality, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. But I'm sure some females,
Cammy's always down for a good time.
I'm sure
Put that
some
out
women
there.
don't appreciate that. And it's not like, okay, I didn't like do anything, but I just I played with it a little bit. I like entertained the idea, but at the end of the day, I was like, no, that's cute, but no, I'm good. But yeah, being a girl, being a straight female, and I don't know. Like, I don't want to say that I'm attractive, but like mildly attractive. Not completely hideous. It kind of. Again, that's another target that you put on your back, but it's for something different besides bullets.
Yeah, don't be good looking. If that's what you're trying to say, just don't be good looking.
Yeah, that's probably. I don't know. It's probably the same for dudes. Maybe it's a little less scary for you guys, though. I don't know. Do you guys get random like titty pics?
No.
No.
We're not that lucky. No.
No. Okay.
No. People like to take pictures with us, but never
Oh, remember those
other
lesbians?
people we know. But yes, that's why I laugh so hard, because me and Cammy work together all the time, and we had like 2 Australian lesbians come up. They were a couple, and they wanted to take her home. Like they would not leave and she finally had to say, like, I'm not gay, I'm sorry.
They were gonna
or
steal
something
Cammy.
like that.
No, okay.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, I have no issue either way, but I didn't know Cammy very well at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had never really talked about that kind of stuff, so I wasn't sure what to think when it was all happening. And then she said something about like a boyfriend or like an ex-boyfriend, and I was like, oh, okay, now I know where she stands, because I didn't want to ask, because obviously that's an issue.
Well, yeah, no.
Not that it mattered, but it was,
I guess. Well,
yeah, I was like, you know what?
I have short hair, which is like, a lesbian thing. So, but I am not a lesbian. But no, those lesbians that came up to us, me and Pulse were out there. It was on the Fremont Street on the tourist corridor, and they're like, "Oh, 2 cute ones," and I'm just like, "Oh God, here we go." And I think you were kind of flattered at first, Pulse.
At first, and then I realized they were just trying to soften me up so they could get to her. That's what it was.
And then they were like, "Oh, are these real tasers or real guns or something?" Because they had seen the Fremont security and they didn't have real guns or whatever. I don't know. And they asked if they could take a picture with us, which we did. And then they look at me and they're like, "So how long have you been gay?" And I'm like, "Oh, actually, I'm not." And then for like several minutes, they're like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're not gay?" And I was like, "I promise. I don't have a boyfriend right now, but I am not gay." Poor Pulsifer. He's like, "What am I, chopped liver?"
Yeah, I was like, okay, I see what you did there. Smooth. It was really smooth on their part. It really was.
It was.
All they had to do was, and the thing is, I'm pretty sure they took the picture to wedge in between us and then get me out of the way.
Yeah, to get
because they took
on
the
either
picture,
side of me.
yeah, and then immediately it was everybody was facing away from me and talking to her, and I was like, I see what you did there. Got it.
Yeah. But for real, I didn't see it a lot. For whenever I work with whatever male officers I work with, I don't see it a lot. I don't know if I'm just working with the wrong ones, but I know that, dude, I get hit on so much.
Just working with the wrong ones.
But
well,
you guys, I don't know if you get it.
No,
it's not like it's never attractive people. Of course, it's freaking like homeless crackheads.
Yeah, I think with female officers, that should be in the job description, because everybody, even posting for questions for you to come on here, my cousin messaged me and he's like, can you tell me why there's so many hot female officers? It's like, no, I don't know, but
well, yeah, and even when it's hard to date, because even people who aren't officers, when they find out you're oh my God, it's like obligatory. You want to handcuff me? And I'm like, no, I don't. No, I am not attracted to you at all. As soon as
You're
I
like,
say
do you want syphilis when I put them on you?
Nope. So And I mean, for me, it's hard to date because like I'm not attracted to someone whose ass I can kick. So you've got to be.
True.
And but then they're like weirdos who are into that kind of dominatrix thing. So
Should we put out like an email address for people to hit you up at if
no,
they
please
want
don't.
to on a date? All right, we're gonna go into story time now. I'm gonna let Cammy go first. Basically, any story from the streets, from work that's fun, exciting, that you want people to know about. It can be relating to us, it can be not relating to us. Just kind of want to hear your stories and your perspective.
Oh, so last week, the week that just happened, it was for me. I say week, it was weekend, right? It was 4th of July. Well, half of the city was on fire because all the fireworks, obviously. I'm driving around call to call. It's always either DVs or fireworks calls. And I'm like, we're not fucking answering these fireworks calls, you idiots. It's freaking 4th of July. And I see this huge ass palm tree. It's like one of those fucking 50-foot ones. It's on fire, like fully on fire. And so I pull over, and it was on like one of those side streets down there.
Was it on Houston?
Yeah. It was the
I had a
Houston
call
one.
at that house. That's funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
So I call out. I'm like, oh crap. This palm tree's on fire. If FD's not notified, they need to expedite. This thing's about to. And there was like a storage pod in the yard that was also on fire. It hadn't gone to the house yet. And then at the base of the palm tree, oh my god, it was so cute. This little Marshall's got his little fire extinguisher, like putting out the grass at the bottom of the palm tree. And, as you can see, that's futile because this whole fucking 50-foot
Yeah.
palm tree is on fire. So I pull up and he runs over to me. He's like, "Do you have another fire extinguisher?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna help." So I gave it to him, and he's running around with this little fire extinguisher, and he uses it all up in like 30 seconds, of course. And then the grass, like right next to the house, it's all dry and stuff, starts getting on fire. And the person who lives at the house brings out his hose, and I'm like, "Okay, put this out right here." And the people across the street bring out their hose. So I'm literally standing here with a freaking garden hose trying to put out a 50-foot palm tree on fire. And I'm just like, I pray to God FD gets here soon. And they get here, they arrive, just in the nick of time, I guess. They saved the house, but the storage unit was burned. They arrived with three officers, but I guess it was a small fire for them, I suppose. So 3 would be enough. And they put out the tree, they put out the grass, they put out the storage pod, and I'm like, cool. This is all done. Arson investigation, right? I don't need to do anything. And I'm getting ready to leave. And this lady comes up to me and she's like, "Why are you leaving?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I was just here to make sure nobody died." And she's like, "But they set our palm tree on fire or something." She's like, "My brother just bought this house yesterday, and the guy who's there now is just moving out, and that's his storage pod that caught on fire." And I'm like, yeah, a structure caught on fire. That's an arson. That's a fire department thing. So you go talk to them. And she comes back and she says, "Well, they said it was your investigation." I'm like, "I don't know how to investigate a fire. Like, we don't. That's not our job." And so I go up to this fire fire guy. I don't know. He was just wearing like regular clothes. I don't know if he was just some crew guy who doesn't get to do the glamorous stuff. But I was like, "Dude, like, are you guys gonna do an investigation?" He's like, "Oh, we don't need to. It's fireworks, obviously." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, cool. Fuck me, right?" And so they took off, and I had to do basically a fire arson investigation for a burned down storage pod with all these people's belongings in it. And the guy kept saying his stepson's ashes were in the storage pod, which is sad, but he kept saying urine instead of urn. He kept saying urine instead of urn, and I'm just like, I can't deal with this. Like, as if this is stupid enough. And I go over there to the next door neighbors and I'm like, "So what's the deal?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, we were setting off fireworks and one of them caught the tree on fire." And I'm like, "Okay, well, who set it off?" "I don't know. We were all setting off. There's like 12 of them. Half of them are kids. So I'm like, what the fuck do I do? So I just wrote a really detailed report, and maybe PD's gonna come arrest someone. But I was like, do I need to arrest this guy right now, who's like in charge of the fireworks? I don't know. That was one that it's like, just when you think you know what the fuck you're doing, something stupid like that happens, and you're like, well, I really don't know anything. So
You're back to phase 1 again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
What
need
do
an
I do?
FTO.
Yeah, I need an adult here now.
Call Flying Fuzz. He'll probably know.
Buzz, what would you do?
Call the FD supervisor and tell him to get the marching crew out there.
He's got an
Well-
answer at least.
The guy I talked to was a captain. I was like, who are you? I was like, are you the one in charge? He's like, yeah, I'm captain, whatever. I'm like, okay. He's like, all right, bye. Well, okay. So I wrote his name in the report. I was like, Captain blah, 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 said he wasn't going to do an investigation. America's real heroes. Good thing they showed
But is
up.
it really like?
America's real heroes.
Is it really like arson, or is it like
It's an insurance thing, is what I
like
was
gross
thinking.
endangerment?
That's what I was
Gross
thinking
negligence.
as well, like
actually-
an insurance.
I was just thinking, since it's a structure fire, rather than just, because that storage pod caught on fire, I just did it as a destroyed property of another. But I was like, I don't even know, because they couldn't inventory everything that was destroyed at that time. It was like the middle of the
Oh,
night.
yeah.
So I'm like, I don't even know if we're going with like a freaking gross miss or felony. I mean, it was going to definitely be at least gross miss, because that palm tree was huge and worth, not probably a couple $1,000s, but I was just like, I'm not going to arrest anybody right now, but I'm just, and then the people were super pissed off. They're like, why aren't you going to arrest him? And I'm like, even if I arrest him, it's not going to get you your money back. That's going to be a civil claims thing where your insurance, and you're going to have to sue them and all that stuff. Like, maybe the court will have them pay reparations or something, but that won't be for a while. So
Yeah, I would think it would just be like a report for their insurance company. Like, yes, you do the report
yeah,
for destruction of property or whatnot, but they submit that to their insurance company and deal with it that way rather than.
And then
Yeah,
the insurance
that's-
takes
Civil
them to
charges,
small
but I don't
claims
know.
court. Like that's how I see it.
that's what I had to explain to them. I'm like, this is going to go. It's two directions. There's two branches to this. There's the criminal of them, shooting off illegal fireworks. Yes, but that isn't going to get you your money back. That's your civil suit, which is what you're going to have to take care of with your insurance and all that stuff. That's what people don't get.
Yeah,
Well-
some people just don't understand. They want immediate justice.
Right. They think by us taking them to jail that, bam, everything's like fixed, and it's like, no, like that's not how it works.
Oh, I like the ones where they're like, well, he's kicking me out of my room for the night. I need my money back. I'm not leaving until I get my money back. Like, no, dude, you got evicted. That's not how this
Yeah.
works.
It's the same with like stolen stuff. When people call and they're like, "Oh, someone stole my bike or whatever."
Yep.
All they really care about is the report, so because they hope that we're gonna find their bicycle. That's all they really
Yeah.
care about.
They're like, go
Yeah.
look for it right now.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
I got a lot of other
Get 'em
stuff
on.
I gotta do.
Call 311.
People are getting shot right now. Oh yeah, I'll go look for your bike.
Oh my goodness. I have so many stories with Cami that every time she says something, I'm like, yeah, we've done that. Yeah, we've done that. Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah.
We have a story that we were all involved in. I don't remember what weekend it was, but I'm going to start from the top
I
and pass it over
believe
to kind of you guys.
St.
it
Patrick's
was
Day
St.
weekend.
Patty's Day of last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. All right.
It's always the
So
same problem every year.
Yep, St.
let me
Patty's Day.
paint the picture for you of what me and what. Let me paint the picture for you and kind of set the scene a little bit, okay? Me and Cammy are on a call. Cammy and I are on a call. Essentially, it was some drunk dude passed out in front of the wrong house with a cell phone in his hand, and the homeowners were watching through the cameras and thought it was a gun, and it was a big deal. Well, everybody left, and me and Cammy are sitting on the sidewalk with this male in handcuffs, waiting for his mom to come and get him because he is drunk.
Drunk.
All
He was
right,
drunk.
and-
Drunk.
And I don't know what the concern is as far as were we supposed to stay there the entire time, but over the radio we hear shots fired. And there's a difference between somebody shooting either at people or at us and shots fired. Shots fired typically means that we have fired shots at somebody and that's an officer-involved shooting. Well, this wasn't. This was at the El Cortez Hotel and Casino. A bunch of bikers, Mongols, and Hells Angels, I believe, were all
Vagos.
partying it up. Vagos?
Yeah.
Okay. Vagos. We're all partying it up for St. Patty's Day weekend, and their rival biker gangs. And so me and Cammy take this dude out of handcuffs, throw all of his stuff on the grass, lay him down on the grass with a leaf. Say, hey, stay here, wait for your mom. And just start hauling to this shooting that we're not sure what's going on yet. Well, then we arrive, and we have two people on our squad. We'll call them Mahar and
Hold
Smith.
on, we haven't. You forgot that might have been broken bottles part.
Oh, I was.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh man,
Was that
sorry.
Smith that said that?
I think it was.
Somebody came over the radio and said it was a glass bottle, like somebody who's breaking glass bottles.
It wasn't
No, no.
gunshots. It might have been glass bottles because there were broken bottles on the ground.
Something like that.
Yeah.
No,
Evidence
them was
was there.
gunshots.
It was a shit show
It was-
from the beginning.
It was a lot of gunshots. I think we found like 5 or 6 bullet holes. A lot of gunshots. Anyways, so then we hear this, so we're still rolling, lights and sirens, and we arrive and we have 2 of our guys from our squad inside the casino with somebody with a gunshot wound on the ground. A biker gang member, right? So you have 2 of our guys providing medical care to a biker gang member with a bunch of biker gang members surrounding them, which hopefully they're at this point concerned more for the safety of their friend rather than hurting us. However, we arrive and we see 12 officers, no pun intended, standing outside against the wall, more so preparing, in their defense for maybe an active shooter type situation to go in as a team. However, we knew we had people inside, so we legit, they're standing out there with their guns out, lost like chickens, and we run right past them through the doors to get to our guys, and then all 4 of us meet up. So somebody else can kind of take it from here, because all 4 of us were involved in the next events.
Roxas and I arrived because we were on Main Street somewhere when this came out, and we arrived at like 7th and Ogden area, I think.
Yes.
Was that right, Roxas?
Yep. That's where we left
And
our
then we
car
ran
at.
in. Yeah, and then we ran in through the garage, and then they have a door right there to get into El Cortez. That's where we ran into initially, and that's where we met up with them providing medical care to that guy in front of the elevator. So I think that's where we all met up, and we were like, okay, we got to go upstairs.
Because somebody told
So I
us
think
what
we had a
floor.
room number.
Yeah, someone had a
Yeah.
floor
Yeah.
and room number for us.
Is that all you're gonna say, Fuzz? That's it?
No, Pulsey can resume the story. That was our part, pretty
Well,
much.
well, so I want to point out that all of us except for Roxas are under 5'8",
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
including our sergeant that was with us, and it was the 4 of us. So it was Roxas, Fuzz, me, Cammy, and then our sergeant. I had my shotgun. They all had their pistols, and we're standing in this elevator trying to go up. Well, we didn't know, due to other events in the past, that security now had to swipe an ID to let you up an elevator. So we're standing in this elevator. The doors close. We hit the room number. Our sergeant hit the room number again. And just imagine the elevator music playing in the background as we sit there and look at each other. And finally, somebody says that we have to have security. So then
The
Yep.
door
So
opens back up,
we
and we have
wasted-
not left the floor yet.
we're still faced with our guys on the ground providing medical aid. And it's a short ride up, or it's a long ride up, and it's a very slow ride from the first floor to I think it was like the 4th floor.
Yeah.
And we're just like, and we're all talking like just nonchalantly, nothing happened, and it's like a movie, man. Like
Mhm.
doors close, peaceful, talking, laughing, doors open, okay, game on.
Yep.
Biker gangs are walking past us. We're pushing them out of the way, going to the rooms. There was 2 rooms involved, and I think there was like about 2 people in each room, or there was 4 people up there
Mhm.
that we took into custody. And I think Cammy and Roxas cleared the first room, right?
Yeah, we went into. Well, actually, you went into the first room, and then you went out, and I stayed with the dude who was shot in the arm, and I put a tourniquet
Wow.
on him, and he cried.
He cried a
And
lot.
he did. He cried a lot for being a big bad biker gang. Yeah, he was shot in the arm.
I think he was a
Anyway,
prospect.
He was only armed with a knife.
Yeah,
He had a big
more
like
on
machete
that.
sitting next to him.
More on that at the end of the story. So, and then Sarge's like, okay, we need to go to the other, clear the rest of it. Cammy, you stay here with this guy. I'm like, I don't want to stay here with this guy. And he's like, sorry, you put your tourniquet on him. You're stuck. What the fuck? Fuck that. So, let this lesson be learned. So I got to stay with this guy, and I ended up going to the hospital with him. And, oh yeah, he was disgusting at the hospital, saying disgusting things to me. But, so I'm sitting there at the hospital with this fucking idiot, and over the radio comes out, oh yeah, on camera, there's this guy with a knife, with no shirt on, running around, bald head, whatever, tattoo. We need to find this guy. And I'm like, I look over, oh, fuck. I'm with this guy right now,
Like,
hospital.
I got him. Code
So,
4, 1 in custody.
yeah, he ended up being a suspect. But yeah, he was like, I think he was a prospect, but since he was like, "Oh no, I'm not one of them, officer," he didn't make it very far after that.
Oh yes, that's what it was. He totally denounced like any
Yeah,
relationship and stuff, and I think he said that when we were going into the room. They kind of gave us a little bit of pushback. We're trying to yell at them to come out of the room, and he's like, "Oh, he's been shot. Come help!" And I was like, "Well, we're not coming in there with you guys in there, you idiot. Like, it's not how we roll."
yeah,
So they kind of gave us a little pushback. But I do want to point out that although we were on the same squad, we never really. This was very new.
that was
We
like
went to the same squad in what, February?
yeah, that was like one of the first times.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one of the first times the four of us came together and were working together. And I do want to point out that although that was the case and we were all new, that we were all pretty much on point together.
Yeah, it worked
As
really
far as
well.
Yeah, communication. And
I think we ended up taking. So we cleared the first room. I went and cleared the second room. I'm going into the second room, and we always announce right before we go in. So Fuzz is holding the hallway in case somebody comes around the corner, and I'm holding the room, and I'm saying like, "Please, if you're inside, sound off. Please, if you're inside, come out." And then I continue saying it as I enter into the room, and I'm clearing the room with my shotgun, and I remember saying, "Please, if you're in here, you better tell me. I'm going to shoot you, and it's going to hurt." Like all like nonchalantly and like jokingly, and luckily nothing came of that. But I just thought that was funny because I'm walking around with my shotgun full of slugs, thinking
Kinda
like, "Oh man,
hurt
if
a
we
little
shoot
bit.
somebody, right now, it's game over.
That's it.
Like it's not going to end well."
Good game. F's in chat for that guy.
F's in chat for that guy. He says. Other than that, then it becomes a stale environment after we get all the dynamic stuff done.
Mhm.
We just set down a perimeter, and there's bullet holes in the stair doors, there's bullet holes in windows of random people's
there are bullet holes everywhere.
bedrooms.
I think,
Bullet
but
holes
nobody
in the
died,
pillars.
did they?
No.
I think the
No,
worst
there's
one was
blood everywhere.
the worst one was the guy that got shot in the arm. Like, so they.
Well, I think the other guy was. Where'd the other guy get shot at? That Maharan Smith.
Probably in the
Oh,
torso,
yeah.
but he was probably fine.
Yeah, you're right. There
He's
was that
fine.
guy too.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Eh.
He's fine. Props to them. They were in there. They were in there quick.
Yeah,
They were in there
really
before
close.
you guys were, and you guys were box.
Yeah.
So
I think we were a little out of that box that day though.
Yeah,
So I think
probably.
I think it was a little busy. We were trying to help out with calls like around the box because we were at like Maine and Washington. I think at the farthest. I mean, we weren't that far outside the box, but
for clarification, bike units have a box around Fremont Street Experience in which they are dedicated themselves to as bike units. So that's what we're referring to as the box. But that's a fun story. I like that story, especially because we're all together and we're all one big happy family.
That's a heartwarming story.
It's great.
It is,
Good
and nobody
times.
died. And hopefully, our drunk guy made it home. That's my biggest concern now.
Or he had a cozy nap in the grass.
I still lay awake at night thinking about our junk friend that was just left on the sidewalk. We almost forgot to take cuffs off of him,
Yeah.
but that's another story. All right, we have I have 4 legit questions I had some others, but I already brought up the one about the hot female cops, so we won't go into that.
Hmm.
Mainly, obviously, they can be for Cammy. If you guys have something to say or a comment, what you've seen, because I'll preface this. I've met a lot of officers where they see videos of female officers and they're like, oh, females don't belong in this job and all this stuff. And I will say I've met some female officers and I'm like, ugh, you're kind of a liability. I don't want to work with
But
you.
you've met
But
some male officers like that too.
Oh
yes,
yes.
exactly. And it has nothing to do with them being female or male. It has to do with their personality or their reactions or their skill set or
Right.
what have you. I've met officers that park in a handicap spot because they can't walk to the briefing room because they weigh so much. So
Hmm.
That's
let that
me.
be said.
Hmm.
No. All right. First question, mainly again for Cami. What is the biggest struggle for a female working in the industry?
Honestly, I think we're past that at this point in history. I don't think there is one common struggle for females. I think it depends on the person. Like we each have our own struggles. Um, and I don't think all females have the same one. I don't think maybe not that I would know anything about this, but I think probably it would be hard for women to balance like if they want to have kids and stuff and being a
Yeah,
mom,
good point.
because being pregnant kind of takes you out of the game. But I don't know about that. I haven't experienced that. Um, but for me, like I said earlier, dating has been a huge struggle. So that's like the worst of it, honestly. I love my job, and there are times when I feel like I need to prove myself or that I'm treated a little bit differently, but it's never been anything huge. I don't feel like I don't belong here. I haven't been. I don't feel like an outcast or anything.
Is it so? Do you get pushback from suspects because you're a female officer? Like, do you have to be more tough or strict with them?
I don't think so, to tell you the truth. Um, Honestly, I feel like it's maybe a little bit more relaxed because I am
Mm,
less threatening to them. Maybe a lot of it is also though about being smart and officer safety, which applies for both males and females, and basically
exactly.
taking away the opportunity for them to take advantage of you before it even arises. Um, although I've had this conversation with people before, probably you guys, but it's a little bit different. I don't know if you guys have this because, like Pulsifer mentioned, we're all small. Even Roxas, though you're taller, you're thin.
I'm a
But
skinny guy.
yeah, um, I think about this a lot. I look at a person and I see like if they're like way bigger than me, like immediately it goes through my head how much of a threat they would be if they tried to like what would I have to do. It's like an instant how easily could that person kill me thought just based purely on their size. It doesn't even matter if they're a fucking bad guy or not. Like people at the grocery store, if I see them, I'm like, wow, that guy's huge. He could probably kill me if he got me. Um, and I think that probably comes from my famous line, "This is how we die." I'm always thinking about that. That's part of my personality. Think about all the ways I could die in any
This is
situation.
it.
So, um, uh, what was? Oh yeah, we were talking about being tough, but no, really, realistically, I think I have less fights and foot pursuits than most guys. Like people don't look at me and think, "I want to fight her. I need to run from her." Even I don't know if it's because they don't want to be embarrassed if they get caught by me or if I beat them in a fight. I don't know, or if they just aren't threatened. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but and also you have to be a little bit smarter. I think I consider myself a little bit smarter than a lot of you guys. Like I had a foot pursuit once, sort of a foot pursuit. Like he ran from me, but he was like right by his house, so he just ran into his house before I could even get out of the car. But there was like this wall. It was like on a berm, so he had to jump up on a wall, but it wasn't a wall. So he jumped up and went into his house. And rather than jumping up there and chasing him, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay down here behind this wall where I have cover and get more units here so we can make an approach to the house. Whereas some of the people I can think of would have just chased right after that guy and kicked down the door to his house, and who knows what would have been waiting inside.
I'm not going to mention the first name that came to my mind, but
Or like we had a couple guys run from us the other day. They wrecked their car. Remember that post where the drunk guys?
Yeah.
They ran from us. And the partner that I was with at the time, he was like, I'm surprised that you didn't just chase him around the corner. You like stopped to, cut the pie. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not a fucking idiot.
I don't want to get shot.
So there's that.
So I think what I'm mainly getting from this is like it's mainly just personality and
Yeah.
like there's not really although obviously we're all different as far as male and female, but you could have a male with a different personality that is going to have different struggles or different times with suspects in public and stuff. This one's kind of a little bit different perspective on it. Why do female cops get along better with male cops rather than most other female officers?
Well, I don't know that to be true.
I don't know if do you find drama with other females, or there's just less drama with males, or is that just again depending on
I don't know. I
personalities?
find that backwards sometimes. I think the guys in the department
I
cause more
agree.
drama.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. But I think again that's male to male officer. Whereas,
you know who says that? You know what kind of girls say that? The girls who cause the drama. So I will tell you why I don't. And it's been my whole life. I've just more preferred to hang out with men than women, and it's because I like male attention, and girls don't like that, so girls don't like me. And that's based on me. It has nothing to do. It's my personality. I'm an alpha female, and we don't like each other. Like, the female cop personality, those kind of women tend to gravitate toward this job, but I don't think that, like, there's a lot of female officers, women, like, in the locker room, it seems like everybody gets along. There's, like, a couple people that are kind of standoffish, but, like, yeah, I get along with the girls in the locker room. I'm not gonna hang out with them on the weekend. I'd rather hang out with the guys, but that's because, like I said, I like male attention more. I'm more interested in that than having friends, okay?
all right. Anybody else have any other questions, or did we get any other questions that I missed?
I didn't get any specifically, no.
Nope.
To close us today, we have Roxas's public service announcements. Roxas, explain what this is to us, and then share with us what the public service announcement is for today.
Okay, so I've done this before. Fly and Fuzz has been around when I've done it. It's pretty much things that it's like a cop's pet peeve. When somebody does something that doesn't understand, that we see a lot, I feel like it's, my responsibility to put it out there and tell these people what it is that they're doing wrong and why they should stop doing it. So the public service announcement for this week is we located a stolen car. We're driving down one of the roads and we saw this truck that looked like it was actually, it looks like it was burned in the median of the road. It was just sitting there wrecked. So we do a U-turn, we come around, we check it. Sure enough, the truck is stolen. Well, it was completely stripped. There was nothing in this truck. There was no engine. There was no transmission. It didn't have seats in it. It barely had a steering wheel. So we tell dispatch, hey, you can advise the registered owner, but make sure you let them know that this vehicle is undrivable due to it not having an engine. Dispatch comes back on and says, hey, the RO is on their way. We're like, great. They must have a tow truck. Well, the RO shows up and it's like him and his 4 sons and his daughter and a couple of grandkids and no tow truck. So they show up and they all walk around the car. They're taking pictures of it like, hey guys, I know you wanted to make sure that the car didn't run and you're here to pick it up, but we'd really like to go handle some of these other calls. Could you, get working on getting this car out of the middle of the road? So the public service announcement for this time is just when the cops tell you that your car is undrivable and it's probably missing an engine, because this is not the first time that this has happened. The last time that we had a stolen vehicle, It was 2 stolen vehicles next to each other. They were both missing the battery, but they were probably both drivable. The first family that shows up is just like this last family. The whole family shows up and no one knows what to do with it. The second family that shows up for the other one comes prepared with a toolkit, a battery, gets the vehicle running, and takes off with it. So please be the second family. And if you're going to show up to pick up this car, you bring an engine, a transmission, and probably a bucket seat to put in this truck to get it home, because that's going to be the only way you're getting some of these cars home.
You should have just gave them the key and been like, here you go. Good
That's
luck.
it. That's
And
pretty
left.
much what we did, because we told them, like, hey, you guys can call your own tow. And then they showed up and they were like, hey, none of us have any money. Can you call a tow for us? Like, you know what? We could have saved ourselves about 30 minutes of wasted time with you guys just not showing up. So, public service announcement. Believe the cops when they tell you something.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Anybody have anything else to add before we close this?
Nope.
Bring me back. Bring me back.
Bring you back? All right,
We'll bring you back.
Valid
we'll
opinions
definitely
over
have
here.
you back for sure.
Valid
Valid
opinions
opinions. We will definitely bring you back. Other than that, thank you for listening. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Give us a review. Let us know what we can do better. And other than that, stay safe. Thanks, guys.